Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I thought I would have a little chat about some books that I am hoping to read in June. I'm not playing my TBR game next month yet. I'm actually in the process of revamping my TBR game and I had this idea of potentially doing a reading vlog where I roll as I go. We'll see if I have time though, because I already have 5 or 6 books that I'd like to read next month and I want to prioritise those because I want to make progress in series and work on some of my reading goals. From my May TBR, there's only one book that I don't think I'm going to finish or even start before the end of the month, and that is A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. Are we surprised that I didn't get around to this? It's the longest book I think that I have on my TBR and I just haven't had the time to even start it, and because I really enjoyed The Priory of the Orange Tree, I want to make sure that I'm actually dedicating a good amount of time to properly read this. So I'm not gonna attempt to read this in June and June, to be fair. I think I'm gonna wait for later in the summer to pick this up. It's an epic adult high fantasy and I've heard the beginning in particular is quite slow. So yeah, I don't want to try and rush this when it's a 5-star prediction for me. I do also currently have 2 books out of the library. The first is Thornhedge by Kingfisher, which is such a short book. I should have read this by now, but I've not been prioritising it and I keep renewing it and I need to make a decision. Am I going to read this now or am I going to give it back and just pick it up another time? I can't remember what fairy tale this is based on, but the little tagline at the top says, "There's a princess trapped in a tower. This isn't her story," and that really intrigued me. So hopefully I will actually pick this up in June. If not, I'll give it back to the library and I'll just get hold of it another time. I also, when I went to the library the other day, picked up a copy of The Catch by Amy Lea. So this is the 3rd book in, I believe it's called the Influencer series. It's a contemporary romance series. The first book is called Set on You, and then the second book, I can't remember what it was called, X's and O's. I read that last year and it was one of my favourite romance books, I think, of last year. That one followed a book influencer. The first book followed a fitness influencer, and this, I believe, follows a fashion influencer. The synopsis sounds very reminiscent of It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey, which I didn't love. I think that was more to do with the writing rather than the setup of the plot. This follows a fashion influencer called Melanie who finds herself in a rural fishing village on the east coast of Canada, and I think the love interest is this burly fisherman. So yeah, hopefully I will enjoy this. Hopefully I will have time to pick it up in June. I'm planning on fitting this in around some of the heavier fantasy books that I'm hoping to read in June. Speaking of heavy fantasy books, the next book that I'm hoping to pick up is The Atlas Complex by Olivie Blake. This is the 3rd and final book in the, I think it's called the Atlas 6 trilogy or just the Atlas trilogy. I've just finished the 2nd book and gave it 5 stars. Objectively, did it deserve a 5 stars? Probably not, but I've been really enjoying this series and I want to see how it concludes. This follows a group of young magicians who are invited to become initiates for the Alexandrian Society. So they arrive at this big, grand English manor, and it's mostly about this group dynamic and their relationships with one another. The 2nd book doesn't really progress the plot much. It's more about the vibes and the atmosphere, and yeah, I have been really enjoying it, even though I can understand why it doesn't have the best average ratings on Goodreads. This one in particular only has a 2.9 average rating on Goodreads at the moment, and I'm really hoping it's a case of people didn't get the ending that they wanted, not that the ending is bad. But we'll see how I feel about this one. I am currently filming a reading vlog for this series that's spoiler free, so if you are interested in the series then hopefully that will be live at some point in June. The next sequel I would like to pick up is The Liar's Knot by M.A. Carrick. So this is book 2 in the Rook and Rose trilogy, which is a political fantasy set in a Venetian-inspired world. The first book followed a con artist called Wren who is trying to infiltrate this noble family, and I loved this first book, gave it 5 stars, so obviously I'm hoping that I enjoy the 2nd book just as much. The world building was very detailed and intricate, so it was a little bit confusing at times, but now I have the groundwork. I feel like there's potential for me to really love the 2nd second book, I'm really intrigued to see what the plot is going to be, because the first book didn't have loads of plot, but the way that things wrapped up, questions were answered, but I also have many, many more questions that I'm hoping are going to be addressed in the sequel. Then the third sequel that I would like to pick up in June is He Who Drowned the World by Shelley Parker-Chan. So at the time that I'm filming this, I haven't started reading the first book in this series, which is She Who Became the Sun. I'm planning to buddy read this with Nat from Nerdy Nat Reads, and I think we're going to start it at some point this week. Obviously, if I don't like the first book, then I'm not going to be bothered about reading the sequel, but because this is a duology, if I do enjoy book one, then I would like to finish up this duology as soon as possible. All I know about this is that it's historical fantasy that's heavier on the historical elements, and it follows a girl who I believe her brother is destined for greatness, but she ends up taking his place. Really intrigued to see what I think of this, because I've heard really positive reviews and I've also heard some not so great reviews. Okay, so moving on to the final section of my TBR and some new releases that I would like to get around to, starting with Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. I actually have an arc of this through NetGalley and I would like to pick this up soon, because what I found with Riley Sager books is that if I leave it too long and I read them having heard other people's reviews, then those reviews tend to influence how I feel about it. This one follows a guy who is returning to his childhood home 30 years after his childhood best friend went missing while they were camping in his backyard. It's the first Riley Sager book to have a male protagonist, which I'm really intrigued about, and yeah, I'm hoping that I at least enjoy this one. I did like Riley Sager's release last year. What was it called? The Only One Left. I really enjoyed that, but generally speaking, I've had mixed experiences with his books, so this could go either way. I've also requested a copy of One Perfect Couple by Ruth Ware, which I think comes out in June. I'm not sure if it comes out right at the end of May or early June, but I've requested a copy from my library, so as soon as they acquire it, then I think I'm top of the list, and I don't think I'm going to be able to renew this if I don't get around to it straight away. Because Ruth Ware is such a popular author, I'm sure the waitlist is going to be quite long. This is a mystery thriller that follows a couple who are taking part in a reality TV show on this tropical island, and then I think there's some kind of storm or they get cut off from the mainland and there might be a murderer in their midst. It's been compared to And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, which I've actually never read, but I've read a lot of books that are supposedly inspired by And Then There Were None, so I think I have a good idea of what to expect from this, and I'm really excited about it because I feel like Ruth Ware is strongest in her mystery writing. So if this has incredible tension and amazing atmosphere, then I'm sure I'm going to love it. Sounds very similar as well to One by One by Ruth Ware, which I think I gave a 3.5 stars. It's not one of my favourite Ruth Wares, but I did enjoy it, so yeah, hopefully this is another win. Then the final new release that I have on my list is A Curse of Blood and Wolves by Melissa McTiernan. So I've actually never read anything by this author before. I know that she wrote the Pumpkin Spice Cafe that came out last year under a pen name. That I believe is a contemporary romance, whereas this is a fantasy romance. All I know is that it's a dark and steamy fairy tale reimagining of Little Red Riding Hood. I'm going to be reading this for a reading vlog, which I think I might have already talked about at some point on my channel, but I'm going to be reading this for a reading vlog, and I actually already have this on my Kindle. I think I got it through the Kindle First Reads last year at some point, but it's been picked up and traditionally published as well, so I would consider this a new release. I feel like this is going to have a little bit of buzz, and I'm interested to see what I think of it. I'm hoping it's going to be a fun time. So those are most of the books that I am hoping to read in June. I am going away for a weekend next month for my partner's birthday, and we have agreed to recommend each other a book for that weekend that each of us is going to read, and then we can chat about it. Might do a vlog around it as well, haven't decided yet, but there will be an extra book going onto this TBR. I just don't know what that is yet. So you'll find out as soon as I find out. But like I said, that does bring me to the end of this video, so thank you for watching. If you made it this far, let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books or if you're excited to read any of them, especially the new releases that I mentioned. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and click subscribe if you would like to see more videos from me, but otherwise I will see you next time. Bye!